Big discussion about reparations for ADOS people. Where do you stand on that, and how is it best for that to continue to be a national issue if in fact it is?
Someone asked me, they said 10 years ago, do you believe in reparations? I said no. I said, why? I said, I can make the argument for reparations. Do I think they're going to do it? No. White folks have never done that. Okay? And I tell people, you want to fight reparations? That's fine. I said, but the reality is, it's called politics. You need 218 votes in the House. You need 60 votes in the Senate. You need the president to sign it. How many votes do you have today? And that's what it boils down to. It's all about votes. And so if it's on the federal level, and so people are making the emotional argument, you can make the economic argument, you make the intellectual argument, but it comes down, do you have the votes? Which means, who's going to be put in place? Are the Republicans going to vote for reparations? No. Show me what Republican right now, one, who has stated that they believe in reparations in the House or the Senate. Not one. Trump definitely not going to do it. And so it's understanding the politics of reparations. Can we make the argument? Yes. Have I done it? Of course. We can break this thing down. The question is, do you actually believe the United States federal government is going to pass a reparations bill? I don't think they are. Now, you can build on it, which then means you've got to elect people who are predisposed to go along that way. And that's why it's stupid for somebody to say, well, I'm not going to vote. That's dumb. That's idiotic, because you got to have people in office to actually pass it. It's a political game. You got to count votes. And so how many votes do you have? That's why when the ADOS people, they try to come after me, I'm like, look, y'all can sit here and try to attack me. Oh, your ancestors came from Haiti. But guess what? That ain't helping you. You need allies. You can't build a movement without allies. And attacking black folks, attacking other black journalists, other people like that, and somehow thinking that that's going to do it for you, all right, good luck.
Hey, what's going on, fam? So, you guys just saw the clip, and I don't even know what I'm going to title this video yet, but you guys just saw that clip of Roland Martin talking. And the reason why I played that clip is because I want to make a point. And the point is for those of us who are unbiased and who have both listened to Tone and Yvette and then just listened to that clip and have heard Roland Martin talk in other scenarios about no black agenda, no vote, understand how they sound very similar. Or notice how they sound very similar. Now, to be fair, when I say they sound similar, there's levels to this. And some people sound more similar to Roland Martin than others. Meaning that I've more so heard people sound almost exactly like Roland Martin coming from Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore's followers, but then I've heard from them. Even though Yvette and Tone kind of sound like Roland Martin in their own ways too. But I will acknowledge that there's levels to this. And the people that I've heard sound really, really close to what Roland Martin said are their followers. For example, the brother 42 Tribes, he did a response video to my video, No Black Agenda, No Vote, over Operation Down Ballot. He did a response, and if you go listen to that response, it's a 35-minute video, but really you can, if you don't have the time, you can listen to just the 10 to 15 minutes and get the general gist of what he's saying, and then either go back and listen to Roland's video again, which I will provide a link to in the description box, or listen to his video right before you listen to Roland Martin's video right before you listen to the brother 42 Tribes video, and compare them. And if you're not biased, you can't tell me that they don't sound at least a little bit similar. But now let's go ahead and talk about Yvette and Tone and well, first of all, let's back up a little bit. So the brother 42 Tribes, obviously, like I said, he was a follower and a defender and supporter of Yvette and Tone in the ADOS organization. And the fact that, and again, I want to say this brother is a proof example. Like, you can really hear somebody out of their own mouth. But there are other people. Just look through my comment sections on my videos, especially my recent videos about Operation Down Ballot, And you can see other evidence of people who sound kind of like Yvette and Tone with this "you gotta vote" justifications. So the fact that Yvette and Tone's followers are coming out sounding like Roland Martin, when even Yvette and Tone have had to go in on Roland Martin because he's been such an obvious and open Democratic shill and puppet of white supremacy for so long. When your followers start to sound like Roland Martin, that should tell you that the people that are educating them, which is Yvette and Tone in this case, probably have somewhat a deficiency in understanding white supremacy if their followers are coming out after listening to them sounding like Roland Martin. Now let's get into how Yvette and Tone have similarities to what Roland Martin said. Now again, of course, I'm not saying they sound exactly the same word for word verbatim. Yes, there's nuance there, especially with Yvette and Tone and their multiple 3.5-hour videos. Of course, there's a bunch of nuance and caveats, and as I said, there's also a lot of double talk and stuff that don't make sense in there. So I'm not ignoring that for the trolls. Before you even start trolling, stop typing right now. I'm not saying that they're said the exact same thing. So if you troll me, I'm probably just going to block you. If you troll me with all the, well, Yvette didn't say this word and Roland Martin did, like, come on. I'm not saying all that. But let's point out the general similarities. First of all, they're both talking to no black agenda, no vote people. Both Roland is talking to no black agenda, no vote people, and so has Yvette, especially recently, especially with her video last night, are Yvette and Tone shields for the Dems. They're both talking to no black agenda, no vote people. That's the first similarity. Second similarity, they both make sure to emphasize that Republicans are not going to be the ones to support reparations. Again, that's why all this ADOS versus FBA fallout began. Because of Yvette and Tone jumping out the window because Tariq said that he might sound like he was going to support Trump. And then Yvette and Tone had to do all this education about how the Republicans ain't for us and Democrats are bad, but the Republicans are worse. And the Republicans are small government, so they have no predisposition. I am not lying on Yvette and Tone. Yvette and Tone, again, they said it differently, but they said exactly what Roland Martin said. Roland Martin just sat there in front of your face and said the Democrats have a predisposition to reparations. And I hate that because I have seen no evidence that they have a predisposition to passing anything for black people, because they haven't done it yet, even though they go out of their way to pretend that they are in favor of black people. But people like Yvette and Tone and Roland Martin both claim that the Democrats have a predisposition. Roland just said it in front of your face, and the way Yvette and Tone said it was, oh, the Republicans are small government and the Democrats are big government. Therefore, the Democrats spend and they have a predisposition. They are more likely to support reparations, even though those of us who are in the no black agenda, no vote camp are saying that even if we believe that, we cannot advertise that because we have to keep our leverage over the Democratic Party, which Yvette and Tone and their followers and people like Roland Martin do not acknowledge. They just want us to come out and say that we're still going to kind of support Democrats because they're really the only ones who are going to pass reparations if it ever gets passed. They're both similar in that way. Now, again, I know nuance, caveats, and double talk are galore, but I'm just pointing out general similarities. I'm not saying that they said the exact same thing. That's number one, or number two, however you want to call it on this list. Next, gotta have people in office. What did Yvette lecture people about last night? How you gonna get reparations if you ain't engaging in the process? What did Roland Martin say? How are you gonna get reparations passed if you don't have the votes, if you aren't engaging the politicians? Now let me be clear and be fair. I'm not saying that engaging politicians is wrong. Of course, we should let these politicians know, hey, if you do not support a black agenda, we are not going to give you our vote. Of course, we should let them know that. Of course, we should sometimes show up to their rallies and run, I guess, unfortunately, have to ambush them because sometimes that's the way you got to do it. And just run up to them and let them know, however you got to let them know, whether it's in a campaign meet and greet, a private room, an open rally, however you got to do it. Of course, we should engage, write them a letter, of however we do it. Of course, it is a good idea. Nobody is saying that it is a bad idea to tell politicians what you want from them and what you expect from them. So in that way, yes, it is good to engage, quote unquote, in the process. However, there's a difference in engaging by telling somebody what you will and won't accept and what you will and won't vote for and leaving it at that. There's another thing to say, hey, engage by showing up to the polls, voting for these people who are allegedly predisposed, who allegedly have a predisposition, which, again, I keep saying allegedly for a reason because I've seen no evidence of this, no proof, no track record of this, but who allegedly have a predisposition to support you, and vote for them no matter what because they have this alleged predisposition, and then engage with them after you've already voted them in office and hope that they will do things for you that they did not promise to you before they got elected. That's basically what Tone and Yvette and Roland Martin are saying. And if they are not, especially for Tone and Yvette, because I know their followers are going to have something to say, if they are not saying that, why are they lecturing no black agenda, no vote people? Because we have consistently said that unless you have a black agenda, we are not going to vote for you. Unless it is a straw man to pretend that no black agenda, no vote means just stay at home no matter what. That is a straw man and a red herring. A red herring and a straw man, whichever term you want to use. It is a false, it is arguing against something that we did not say. The only thing that you are hearing about black people staying home is the threat of staying home. And if black people, the few no black agenda, no vote people who have said, I've already decided that I'm staying home, is because what they're really trying to say to you is that I have already seen to this point that none of these candidates are supporting a black agenda. So I already know that the likelihood is high that I'm going to stay home because there's going to be no one on the ballot for me. That's what they mean for the most part. Nobody is saying just don't vote no matter what, no matter if they come with a $200 trillion reparations package, ignore the $200 trillion reparations and just don't vote. Nobody's saying that. So that's a lie. That's a complete lie, and Yvette and Tone know better than that. They know that's a lie. So what are they talking to? They must be saying the same thing that are something very similar to what Roland Martin says. You got to engage. You got to engage. You got to be in the system. You got to have the votes. You can't get it passed without the votes. So those are the similarities. But anyway, that's what I just wanted to point out with that quick video. However, I want to move into another topic here real quick before I close out the video. So I'm about to read an article from a website called Black Agenda Report. And this article, if I can find it. Give me 1 second here, fam. I had the article up and I lost it. 1 second. 1 second, fam. My bad. Anyway, so yeah, back to what I was saying. So I'm going to read an article from a website called Black Agenda Report. Now, before I read this article, let me give a disclosure here. Black Agenda Report has come out as an anti-ADOS, ADOS is MAGA group of people. And unlike people on both sides of this ADOS versus FBA beef, I'm still fair and unbiased for certain things that we all had in common. And we all understood before the fallout that the ADOS's MAGA trolls are trolls, and they're Democratic. They're trying to shame people into going back to the Democrats. People who are using ADOS's MAGA. So for that reason, despite the ADOS and FBA fallout, and despite the fact that I have many problems with Yvette and Tone, obviously this video that you're listening to right now is about one of my many problems with Yvette and Tone. I'm still unbiased enough to acknowledge and make sure to take the time to point out that these people are not an overall trustworthy source of information. However, just because someone is not an overall trustworthy source of information does not mean that you cannot glean any truth from them. What do I mean? For example, if a white supremacist, a toothless white supremacist, teaches you how to change your tire, then you didn't know how to do it before, and he teaches you the proper way, and he doesn't teach you any, messed up way that's going to end up making your tires fall off, but he teaches you to do the proper way. Despite the fact that he's a white supremacist, what he taught you was still truthful and useful information. So what I'm saying is sometimes it doesn't matter who the source is. Sometimes it does, especially on the topic, but again, that's case by case basis. That's judgment calls. But all I'm saying is that just because an overall source of information is not something or someone you should be going to all the time for every little piece of information, doesn't mean that they don't say anything true. It's just like when people talk about how they listen to Tone and Yvette or Tariq Nasheed. They say, eat the meat and throw out the bones or whatever. Different little phrases like that. I don't know the other ones, but you know what I mean. So just because this website is not trustworthy, and I still don't trust them, despite the ADOS FBA fallout. This is a good description of what I'm about to describe and ask, is this what Yvette and Tone are doing? And that's called sheepdog voting or sheepdog tactics. Also, this article I'm about to read is not talking about ADOS. Or this article I'm going to read from, it's not talking about ADOS. It's not accusing ADOS of what I'm going to insinuate that ADOS may be doing. They're talking about Bernie Sanders. And this was 2 years ago. So this was before ADOS had any prominence. So I'm not using this article or using an article that's biased already against ADOS. This article that I'm going to read from has nothing to do with ADOS, does not mention ADOS. At the time it was written, it's extremely likely that the black people at Black Agenda Report did not even know the existence of the ADOS acronym, even though it supposedly was created in late 2016. Also, let me say before I start to read the article, what I'm about to say is conjecture. If you don't know what conjecture means, go get Google or a dictionary. But I'm going to use context clues and make some statements that are conjecture, meaning I don't have any proof of this. But I want to put this out because it's something to think about. And it's something I'm starting to suspect, even though I don't have proof. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it and read the article about Democrats and sheepdog voting. So Bernie Sanders is this election's Democratic sheepdog. The sheepdog is a card the Democratic Party plays every presidential primary season when there's no White House Democrat running for re-election. The sheepdog is a presidential candidate running ostensibly to the left of the establishment Democrat. Ostensibly to the left of the establishment Democratic candidate. Let me go back and repeat that. The sheepdog is a card the Democratic Party plays every presidential primary season. And when there's no Democrat running for re-election. This is a presidential primary season right now where there's no Democrat running for re-election. Trump is the president. So Trump is the one running for re-election. There's no Democrat running to be re-elected during the presidency or as the president. So I just want to make that clear. Even though this article was written in 2016, that's the season we're in now. The sheepdog is a presidential candidate running ostensibly to the left of the establishment Democrat. I've heard out of Antonio Moore's mouth very recently on a video he made a few days ago where he talked about it was a Kamala Harris video, not the one he made a video tonight. I'm about the video that I'm releasing. He's made a video about Kamala Harris dropping out the race tonight. He made a video about that. But the last video he made before this one, I believe it was about Kamala Harris. If you listen to the end of it, he's talking about Michael Bloomberg. And he says Michael Bloomberg is getting in the race to pull the race back to the center. They're trying to get these centrist Democrats back in the race. Tone is saying, or is advertising himself and positioning himself and the rest of the ADOS movement as far left. I want y'all to keep these things in mind, and I'm taking my time because I really want you to soak in what I'm saying. There's proof of this. Go to Tone's channel. You can listen to him say it. He complains about Michael Bloomberg because he's in the center, meaning that Tone is positioning himself and ADOS to be to the allegedly far left. But let's continue the article. My bad, fam. So let's keep reading. So the sheepdog is a presidential candidate running ostensibly to the left of the establishment Democrat, whom the billionaires will award the nomination. In this case, they were talking about Hillary Clinton. All right. I think it's either Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders because I think they're both in the pockets of the mainstream Democrats. I believe Bernie is a fake radical, and so is Elizabeth. Oh, I'm burping. Oh, so is Elizabeth Warren, but I think I've been saying Bernie's a fake radical. I've been saying that for years. Sheepdogs are herders, and the sheepdog candidate is charged with herding activists and voters back into the Democratic vote who otherwise might drift leftward and outside of the Democratic Party, either staying home or trying to build something outside the two-party box. Either staying home or trying to build something outside the two-party box. In 1984 and 1988, the sheepdog candidate was Jesse Jackson. In 92, it was California Governor Jerry Brown. In 2000 and 2004, the designated sheepdog candidate was Al Sharpton. And in 2008, it was Dennis Kucinich. This year, it's Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. The function of the sheepdog candidate is to give left activists and voters a reason, however illusory, to believe there's a place of influence for them inside the Democratic Party. Just let that sink in, fam. Just let that sink in. And think about who you've been hearing about telling you that the goal is to get influence inside of the Democrats in particular. Who's been telling you recently that the goal is to get influence with the Democrats in particular? Who jumped out the window about somebody maybe supporting Trump because we can't go along with the Republicans no matter what? I'm just saying, fam, just think. You don't have to believe or agree with me, but just think. However illusory, and I'm obviously rereading the part, but I want you guys to remember where we left off before I interject it. So, however illusory, to believe there's a place of influence for them inside the Democratic Party, if and only if the eventual Democratic nominee can win in November. Despite casting millions of voters for the likes of Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and other sheepdogs, those leftish Democratic voters are always disregarded when Democrats actually win. Which is why we say no black agenda, no vote, because you have to announce your commitment to the black agenda before we vote for you. And nobody, not from Yvette Carnell's dog catcher up to the president, has announced commitment to a black agenda. Except, and again, I've acknowledged multiple times in other videos, yes, there's one or two candidates across the country in a city that 90% of us don't live in that has a black agenda. But for the most part, we know up and down the board across the country, from city councilmen up to president, they do not have a black agenda. But let's continue the video. So, again, despite casting millions of voters for the likes of Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and other sheepdogs, those leftish Democrat voters are always disregarded when the Democrats actually win. Bill Clinton gave us NAFTA, a vicious welfare reform, no peace dividend or push for DC statehood, lowered unemployment, and mostly in part-time and low-wage jobs, and mass incarceration of black and brown people. President Obama doubled down on bailouts for bankers and GM, immunized them from prosecution, but failed to address the most catastrophic fall in black household wealth in history. We got health care for some instead of Medicare for all, the Patriot Act renewed instead of repealed, a race to privatize public education, drone wars, and still more mass incarceration of black and brown people. If President Obama gets his way, we may soon have a global job-destroying, wage-lowering NAFTA on steroids with the TTP and TTIP. The sheepdog's job is to divert the energy and enthusiasm of activists. A year and a half out. A year to a year and a half out. How far are we from the presidential election? We're exactly a year, basically. Or actually a little bit less than a year. A year and a half out from a November election, away from building an alternative to the Democratic Party into his doomed effort. When the sheepdog inevitably folds in late spring or early summer before a November election, there's no time remaining to win ballot access for alternative parties or candidates, no time to raise money or organize any challenge to the two capitalist parties. At that point, with all the alternatives foreclosed, the narrative shifts to the familiar lesser of two evils. Every sheepdog candidate surrenders the shreds of his credibility to the Democratic nominee in time for the November election. They're talking about how Bernie Sanders was supposedly this fake radical, and then he turned around and endorsed Hillary Clinton, who the Bernie Sanders supporters were pretending was the bane of their existence. But they had no smoke for Bernie when he endorsed the person they had been going in the entire primary on behalf of him. And they're still on his bandwagon this time around. Those same people, even though he shitted on them and turned around and endorsed Hillary after they spent the whole primary going in on Hillary in support of her. And I'm talking about Bernie Sanders supporters. And that's what this article is talking about. I'm just giving y'all a real life example to relate to. But let's get back to the article. At that point, with all these, so let me not repeat that. But anyway, every sheepdog candidate surrenders the shreds of his credibility to the Democratic nominee in time for the November election. This is how the Bernie Sanders show ends as the left-leaning warm-up act for Hillary Clinton. Now, let me read that last paragraph again. This is how the Bernie Sanders show ends as the left-leaning warm-up act for Hillary Clinton. These people were predicting what Bernie did before he did it. And now that we're in the future of this article, we're in the future as far as compared to this article when it was written, we know that this article was right. So, I'm not going to read the rest of the article because I don't want to make the video too long. So I'm going to put the link to this article in the description box. Go read it yourself. Go read it yourself. But just know, if you want to discount what this article is saying, just know that they kind of know what they're talking about. And again, like I said, I've already established that they're not to be trusted overall. But this article had at least some accuracy to it, since they predicted exactly what Bernie Sanders was going to do, and he did exactly what they predicted. They kind of knew what they were talking about. Now, obviously, I read this article to ask the question, are Yvette and Tone running a sheepdog operation? Let's think about it, fam. They both said, and excuse the background noise, there's a train in the background, but they both said, they're both talking this, oh, you got to vote, oh, you got to stay engaged, oh, you can't be disengaged. And again, that talk, and hold on, fam. Ah, damn, I'm sorry, I'm fucking up the video. Well, yeah, never mind. It's not fucked up, but excuse that background noise. That train is just loud as hell. But anyway, yeah, let's finish up the video. Obviously, I'm speculating that the ADOS movement could be a sheepdog operation. Shout out to the brother Zulu Black who comments on my channels. He made a good point about Yvette and Tone and them saying, or Yvette in particular saying that you have to stay engaged, otherwise you may stop voting. That's treating ADOS people like they are lazy and stupid. Like, once we don't vote once, we're never going to vote again. Isn't the whole purpose of your ADOS chapters is to keep people politically engaged? So why do they also have to go vote? If they're already confronting candidates, already meeting with candidates to defend, to promote a black agenda, isn't that enough political engagement? Do they really have to go to the polls and write in ADOS so that people won't think they're lazy, even though these same people who you're afraid of calling you lazy are then going to turn around and say you're stupid for writing in ADOS because that vote went towards Trump? And again, somebody said to me, oh, it's not about what people think. Yes, it is, because that's what Yvette and Tone said. They didn't say that it's to, make our presence known or whatever. Well, they did kind of say that too. But they also said that it's because people will think we're lazy if we don't vote, if we don't go out there and vote. They said that, not me. I'm saying, and other no black agenda, no vote people are saying, that staying home will send the same message, because it will tell people, no, not that we're lazy, but that we have no faith in this system. And what the white supremacists understand is that once you have no faith in the system, the next thing is revolution. So in our opinion, in the no black agenda, no vote people's opinion, staying at home will send the message that we are on the verge of revolution if they don't come with a legitimate political system instead of a fraudulent political system. Shout out to the brother Uhuru, who's commented on my channel, because I'm getting this from him. Like I said, shout out to the brother Zulu Black for the point he made. But also shout out to the brother Uhuru, who's commented on my channel. He gave a great analogy. So if you're playing a game of Monopoly with 6 other people, and these 6 other people are cheating, doing little back deals, doing all kind of underhanded things so that you lose every time, and then you catch on, what do? Do you keep playing because you have to stay engaged in order to win the game? Or do you withdraw from the game until they play fair? Do you keep playing and keep getting cheated because you feel like the only way you can win is if you keep playing even though they're cheating, and you know they're cheating, and you know they're sabotaging you? Or do you say, hey, I don't have to play this game, and you stop playing until they are willing to play fair with you? Because the no black agenda, no vote people are saying, hey, I'm going to disengage from this game And I'm going to go play another game that you don't want me to play. Because you need me to stay playing Monopoly with you. Because that keeps your game stable. You don't want me to go get the Jenga board and put it in the middle of your Monopoly board and bring hell and chaos. That's what the No Black Agenda, No Vote people are saying. We are saying that we understand that if we stay at home, if a mass of black people stayed at home, it would send a message to the Republicans that, hey, if they saw that a bunch of people, a large amount of people who voted before did not vote this time, that would tell them that, hey, these people are starting to lose trust in our system, period. So we need to give them somebody that's going to actually represent their needs so they'll believe in it instead of trying to come up with a new system that's going to destroy ours. That's what we in the No Black Agenda, No Vote can't believe. Y'all keep trying to straw man and red herring get into this. Our strategy is just to stay home no matter what. That's why I get annoyed with the trolls in my comment section. And this video is your last warning before I just start blocking you if you keep asking me that dumbass question. Well, what's your solution? What's your solution? Just stay home? That's a dumbass question. And there's no more mercy for you. This video was your last chance. Call me what you want. Say what you want about me. Say I can't handle the truth. Say I can't debate. Say I can't whatever. Cry about the fact that I blocked you and deleted your comments. But this is your warning. Do not ever say to me again that dumbass shit about, oh, your solution is to just stay home no matter what. Even if they come with a $60 trillion reparations package, you're just going to stay home no matter what. What kind of strategy is that? I just explained to you the strategy. Our strategy is that we are going to send a loud and clear message without lifting a finger by staying home. And again, yes, going to the ballot and writing in ADOS does allegedly accomplish the same thing. But that is go and write an ADOS. That is not Yvette and Tone's main strategy. They are not telling people to go and vote in go in and write in ADOS as the primary strategy. They are not saying that. They are saying go vote for somebody, and then if you're one of these ridiculous people, because that's what they're saying, go listen to their videos, and that's how they do it. They do it with this mocking tone, and Yvette keeps saying, I find it hard to believe there's nobody to vote for. She keeps saying that. I find it hard to believe there's nobody to vote for. So they are not suggesting go write in ADOS as the primary strategy. They are only saying that if you are one of these quote unquote ridiculous, silly people who don't like Sally Mae. That's what Yvette Carnell gave as an example last night. I don't like Sally Mae. That's why I'm not voting. And I don't know who she's talking about because she ain't talking about any No Black Agenda, No Vote people. So I don't know who the hell she's talking about. But that's what she said. If you don't like Sally Mae, then write in ADOS. But that is not her primary strategy. If it was her primary strategy, No Black Agenda, No Vote versus going in to write ADOS, send the same message. Or have the intention to send the same message, even though Yvette Carnell keeps claiming that we're going to tell these people that we're lazy. And if that's the case, I don't give a damn, because I don't care what people think of me. I just want my power and what I've demanded from you. And I've let that be known, and so have many of us other No Black Agenda, No Vote people. But when it comes down time for the election, if you don't vote, we're not even going to engage, because we're showing we're losing faith in your system, period. So we're not even going to waste our time with it. And yes, allegedly going in and writing ADOS is sending the same sort of message that, hey, you haven't presented anybody that's worth my vote, so I'm not voting for them. I'm voting ADOS. Yes, they're allegedly the same goal, but that's part of the problem. Because they're allegedly the same goal, why does Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore have such a problem with No Black Agenda, No Vote when it's essentially the same thing as their strategy? Again, because that is not their primary strategy. They want you to go vote for somebody because somebody has something that you can vote for. And that's the last thing I want to say about how this could be a potential sheepdog operation. Is let's think about it, fam. If the logic is somebody has something for you to vote for, why shouldn't you vote for Elizabeth Warren if she has something for you to vote for? What, she has Medicare for all. That don't mean you support her, but you support Medicare for all. And Yvette Carnell keeps lecturing us or lecturing her followers about how you have to vote for, there's something for you to vote for, if not someone. That exact logic can be used to justify voting for Elizabeth Warren if she's the Democratic nominee, or Bernie Sanders. Hey, I'm not voting for Bernie Sanders because he has no black agenda. This is a hypothetical ADOS person. I'm voting for student loan forgiveness because that's something for me to vote for. You see how that logic can become a slippery slope? Remember, the vote against thing. You can't vote against someone unless you vote for someone. And again, I explained in my last video, the response video to Yvette and Tone Shields for the Democrats. I explained in that video how that voting for stuff, you cannot say that means vote for the third party or vote or write in ADOS. The only way you can vote against someone if you vote against their main threat, which means that if you're voting for, the only way to vote against a Republican is to vote for a Democrat, and vice versa. The only way to vote for a Democrat or to vote against a Democrat is to vote for a Republican. Because if you vote for the third party, those two people are still going to win. And whichever third party you voted for, all you did was take away from the mainstream version of them. So if you're a black person who otherwise would have been inclined to vote for a Democrat, if you write in ADOS or whatever, you're not voting for anyone because your vote didn't stop one of the two main parties from winning, especially if both parties don't have a black agenda, which is the case for 90% of black people. So I already broke down that voting for or against talk. That voting for or against talk can be used to justify voting for Democrats, and that you got to vote for something. There's something for you to vote for, if not someone. That also can be used to justify going out and voting for the Democrats. But the last thing I said is, as I said, even though they keep going back and forth in Yvette, 1 minute she's jumping out the window on people who are sounding like they support Trump. The next minute she don't care if you support Trump as long as you stay engaged. She is saying, hey, you got something to vote for, if not someone. So you can't tell me that some ADOS people can't say, oh, well, I'm not voting for this candidate. I'm just voting for this one thing I have to vote for. Especially since I used the energy and came down here and stood in line for 2 hours, which some polling places are like that. I know most aren't, especially not anymore. But some polling places still have 2 and 3 hour lines. So after you take yourself, spend your gas money, stand in line for 2 hours possibly, are you really going to say, you know what, I'm just going to write in ADOS, even though I spent all my energy? Or are you going to be extremely tempted to possibly go against what you've been promising all this time? For example, when I first voted for third party, even though I had told myself for months and months that I was not voting for Obama during his reelection, I was extremely tempted when I got in that ballot box to vote for Obama because I did not want Mitt Romney to win, because I knew the racists were going to be celebrating and having parties if Obama lost re-election. And I did not want to give them that joy and satisfaction just because I had a problem with Obama. So I was extremely, extremely tempted to vote for Obama, even though I didn't. You mean to tell me, and I want to end the video this way. I know this video has been way longer than I wanted it to be, but this is also going to be the last time I talk about this topic. But the last thing I want to say is, um, that's the main reason. My personal experience is the main reason why I have such a problem with Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore's Democratic down ballot strategy. Is because I know from experience that when you get in that ballot box, the same fear I had of Obama not winning is the same fear a lot of those ADOS people are going to have about Trump possibly winning re-election. And a lot of them, because they spent the energy, they already drove out there, they already stood in line, they're going to say, you know what, I might as well vote for the Democrat because I just really don't want the Republicans to win. Yvette taught me that I have something to vote for. I'm not voting for the person. I'm just voting for this thing. Whereas no black agenda, no vote, we don't have that temptation. So again, fam, our trolls, better yet, do not troll me ever again on my channel talking about what's your strategy. Is it just stay at home? That tells me that you're trolling. You're either a troll, an idiot, or both. And I'm not going to respond to you. I'm going to delete your comment. I'm going to block you off my channel. So I hope the trolls have patience to listen to this whole video. Because if you don't, you're going to miss this warning. And you're not going to know why I deleted your comment and blocked you. But anyway, fam, the way I want to close this video is ask the question. Are Yvette and Tone and the ADOS organization, is it a sheepdog? Is it a sheepdog operation? I don't know. But I'm starting to suspect that it is. Again, I said it a lot earlier in the video. I don't have any proof, but that's what I'm starting to suspect. But anyway, fam, like, share, subscribe. That's another video. Peace.